Hey everybody, JR from JrZ CarZ here, and today we have another car to do a review on, so stay tuned.
Hey everybody, check out my mom's new car.
Okay everybody, just like Vicky said, we're going to check this car out, but first I want to give a shout out to all my new subscribers out there. Got your big thumbs up there. So we're going to check this out. I'm going to give you a walk around. We're going to start it up. You can take a listen to it. We'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there is some ugly on it. So what we have here, it's a 2006 Chevy HHR 1LT. All right, so the Chevy HHR, it's very similar in body styling to the PT Cruiser, right? And I believe it's the same designer that actually worked with Chevy and Chrysler on this that created this car too. They're similar, but they're definitely not the same. All right, so what we have with the Chevy HHR is a couple different trim models, right? This 2006, there's an LS model, there's a 1LT model, and there's a 2LT model. Now the 1LT is what this one is. That comes standard with a 2.2 liter 4-cylinder engine that puts out 143 horsepower, I believe it is, and about 150 foot-pounds of torque. I'll check those numbers and make sure that that's right. The 1LT package also gives you the FE1 suspension. Now that is a soft ride suspension, so when you're cruising on the highway, you know, it's nice and kind of floaty. It's really not it's not stiff. It's not going to jar you to death here. It's a soft ride suspension. So if you wanted in the 2LT package is when you get the FE3 suspension. Now that is the sport suspension, and it'll definitely give you a little stiffer ride, a little sportier too. The 1LT also, it's kind of like their mid-trim model. Once you get into the 2LT, that comes with a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder standard. It comes with 17-inch rim standard, and it's basically just like there's different packages that come along with it. That's their higher end package, right? So I like the way that the body lines are on this. Like you see, as we came around the front, you see this big wheel arch up in the front. It kind of pushes in a little bit, and then you get that big wheel arch in the back here. One thing that I really do like about this, and I think is neat, is as we come across the back here, the way these taillights recess, not really recess into the body, but they come out from the body itself, right? So you're not seeing the whole light assembly on the outside. It's just two little round lights. This is your blinker and your tail light, your reverse lights here, and then that's just a reflector. So it doesn't really light up. You've got reflectors in the bumper there. So as we come around, you can see that it's you know, it's pretty good. There's a little bit of the ugly. I was in an accident at one point. I'm going to end up doing a little body work to this, and I'm going to fill this in. I'm not going to fill it. I'm going to tap it out from the back side. I'm going to get it straight. I'm going to kind of fill it in, and I'm going to make a video about this because I've seen people do this before where they can get some rattle can of the OEM paint and make it look really good. So I think I should be able to get this very close to looking well, but we'll see what it is. You know, we'll see how that goes, but I'm definitely going to make a video on that. One other kind of nasty spot here is up on the tailgate here. You can see the clear coats peeling off. I'm probably going to end up doing the same thing too. I'll sand this down. I'll just create a line in, you know, some of this area here. You can make soft lines, and then when you clear coat it, you can sand it down and buff it out, and then you might not even notice that there was anything up here before. So as you can see, I know everybody's kind of been asking what I'm doing with the Sonata. It's still sitting there. I haven't really made a decision as to what I'm doing with it yet. You know, there's really not much that I can do with it at this point. I needed to get something underneath my feet that I can drive, so that has just been sitting over there, and I'm not really putting too much effort into it right now because, you know, we needed something to drive around to get back and forth to work. But that's why I purchased this. It was a really cheap purchase. Had to buy it at a dealership because obviously, you know, the state of New Jersey motor vehicle is still closed. So that's, you know, we had to do what we had to do. But if you look at the top there, you see it has some roof racks, right? It doesn't have the crossbars, but it just has roof racks on it. So the 1LT trim that I was saying before comes standard with discs in the front and drums in the rear. And these are 16-inch alloy rims. They're 215, 55, 16 tires. So it also has a sunroof, which flips up. It slides all the way back, slides forward. The antenna, it's a little weird. Like one kind of bad thing that I'm seeing about it is when you have the sunroof open and when you're driving at highway speeds, you do get noise from this antenna being right up here. Personally, I would have thought they would have put it in the back, but you know, I guess they were figuring people were going to put stuff on top of the car, so they didn't want to put it back there. That's the only thing I can assume. But now that we've taken a walk around the car, I'm going to open up the hood, give you a shot of the engine, and then we'll start it up. Okay, everybody, so now that I have the hood open here, you can take a look and see what it looks like under here. So you have your condenser, your radiator, it's up in the front here, your core support, and what you have here is a 2.2 liter Ecotec dual overhead cam engine. I was correct before. It was 143 horsepower and 150 foot-pounds of torque, and it's made it up to a 4-speed automatic transmission. It's actually really not that bad. I thought it was going to be pretty lackluster. You know, being a little 2.2 liter, I thought it was going to be a little lackluster, but the car really doesn't weigh all that much, so it's pushing less weight around, so it's actually not that bad. It does get up and move. I've never had a problem with it, and nor does my wife, you know, driving it up and down the highway, getting it up on the highway and at highway speeds and being able to pass around people if they're just driving too damn slow. So it's actually really not a bad engine. I know these 2.2 liter engines were pretty good, you know, even, you know, way back in the day, you know, way back into the, you know, getting into the 80s and 90s, GM. They were actually pretty decent engines. I'm not really sure what the differences are, you know, with the newer generations as opposed to the older ones, but you know, it's been pretty good. Like I said, it rides nice. It's you know, smooth running engine. One thing that I kind of find interesting is the oil filter, right? I would think that it would have a normal oil filter in here, but if you take a look in here, right, that's your oil filter right there. That, you would take this off, and it's basically a canister. It's a canister filter on the inside. So you take this off, you pull this out, the filter media would come out, and you'd replace the filter media, which that's very common for European cars, but that's not common at all for domestic cars. So I thought that was kind of a little interesting thing there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside, start the car up. You can take a listen to it, see what it sounds like, and then we'll go on to the interior. All right, everybody, so here's the key. Let's get this girl started up. Turn that radio off. So, as you kind of saw there real quick, it says it's got 122,000 miles on it. I bought it with 121. So I've driven this. Well, my wife has driven this about 1,000 miles so far, and it's been really good. It's actually really nice. It's got daytime running lights. And then if you look at the bottom there, you'll see the fog lights. There's a switch on the dashboard inside that you can turn those on. And that makes a huge difference at night driving around. If you listen to it, she purrs. It's nice, a quiet engine. And like I said, it's really, it's fairly sufficient for what it is. Like I said, it actually gets really good gas mileage too. If we go back inside, I can actually show you, because I believe the last time I checked, it was somewhere around like either 27, 28 miles to the gallon here. All right, so 122, 739. Yep, 27.3 miles to the gallon. So that's actually not bad, because I think in the Sonata I was only getting about like 28 miles to the gallon, 28, maybe 29 mixed. And she's doing the same driving with this car as she was with the Sonata, so it's actually doing pretty well. Okay, so we're going to start off by just taking a look at the door panels here, right? So just like in the Touring, it's typical GM. It's plastic. There's a lot of it all over the place. Soft touch armrest here. You have your mirror controls. These are pretty neat. These are the door handles here. They're big. They're actually kind of oversized for what I think, but they're common to brake too, because of their pivot point right in here. You know, if you're yanking away on those things, because they're only plastic, you might end up breaking them. It's kind of common for them to break. You have your door locks there, and just mind the mess. The seats are a little messy. I still haven't steam cleaned them yet, but that is in the works, right? So cloth seats, right? It's a power seat. It also has power lumbar too, which is nice. And then we'll go to the back here. One thing I didn't point out before is the difference in color of the door handles. Kind of sets them off and makes them look really nice too. You know, and it has the same trim around the side mirror too on the outside. You can look at that real quick. It's the same color as the door handles, like that. You know, kind of like the aluminum look. It makes it look really nice, right? So there's actually a lot of room in the back here. If you look, the seats, you know, the seats are nice. They're comfortable, and there's a lot of headroom in here. Let me see if I can get in here and kind of give you an example. Okay, so like I've said in other videos, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", right? So I'm sitting in the back seat, and I have a lot of headroom up here. I'm sitting where I would be normally comfortable, right? So sitting in here, there's plenty of headroom. Really, you know, for passenger space in the back here, there's a lot more headroom in this than there would be in the PT Cruiser. This car just seems to be a bigger, more comfortable version of that car. So if I was looking at one or the other, I would definitely prefer an HHR over a PT Cruiser. Okay, so going back to the back seat here, it is a 60-40 split bench, and you do have that third 3-point shoulder belt in the back, which actually is pretty nice, especially if you have kids that, you know, you wouldn't want to just put in a lap belt, that you would actually want to have that 3-point harness in there. That'd be, you know, that would be really good for you. They do fold down. There's a little button right here. Just pull that up. Seat comes down. And one interesting thing, and I'll show you here, is when you're pulling the seat down, the seat bottom actually slides forward a little bit to allow room. Like, so you can see how that seat folds forward. And then we can do the same thing on the other side. Pull that. And pull the seat down. And then you have all this cargo space in the back here. We'll come across the back. And then you can see actually how much cargo space you have in this. But one neat thing that this car has too, is very similar to my Touring too, and if If you want to check out the torrent video, you can check out the top of the screen there. I'll link you to that. This pan right down here is removable. And if you look on the sides over here, this is where it would actually lay in as a shelf. And I'll show you that right now. So this would be really neat if you wanted to store some things underneath here that you really didn't want anybody looking in the car and seeing. So if you actually were to close the lid, if you were looking in there, don't mind the dirt or my gut right there either. If you're looking in, you wouldn't see anything. Right? You wouldn't see anything at all. So it's a good way of hiding things. But at the same point in time, also, you know, you can separate different cargo. So if you have the seats up, obviously it would go all the way to the back seat. And then you can put things on the top here and put different cargo in the bottom. Now underneath here is your spare. And there's something really interesting in there that I haven't quite figured out the reason why it's there. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to show you what it is. But before I do that, I didn't notice this when I first looked at the car. But after, you know, we were cleaning everything out and we were trying to, you know, just get it cleaned up. I realized that this here, these are little storage compartments, right? So you can open those and you have storage. You also have latches in here too. All right, so you got a smaller one here and you have a wider one here for different things that you can put in there. All right, so here's where the spare tire is. And like I said, I took that panel off that was there. So here's the thing that I'm quite interested in knowing why they put this here. It's a small battery. There's a small battery in the back of this car, and I have absolutely no clue why it's there. All right, so now we're in the driver's seat again. All right, so the steering wheel, it's actually very similar to the one I have in my Torrent, but this one is not leather wrapped. It's just, you know, just like rubber, plastic, whatever they use for the material here. It has your cruise control. It doesn't have the radio controls on it, which I'm kind of upset about because I was hoping that we'd get the radio controls on it, but, you know, what are you going to do? That's what it is. It does have the same type of radio. Your climate controls here. Your controls for the rear wiper are here. Down here is where you have the controls for the windows and your window lockout. You have your shifter in the center. You have your two cup holders, e-brake. You know, your climate control that's here. This is your dimmer switch. So it took a little bit for me to figure out that that was the actual dimmer switch for the interior lights when the lights are on. Your hazards, obviously. And this is the button right here that would turn on your fog lights. And inside your glove box is where the RPO codes are. This will tell you everything you need to know about this car. It'll give you everything there is. Then if we turn this on, again, you can see the information display over here. And then on the steering wheel here, if you press this button here, you can scroll through information on the car, you know, what your average speed is, your oil life, cooling temperature. It's kind of limited. There's really not that much information in there, but it does give you a little bit to go off of. All right, everybody, so that's my review of the 2006 Chevy HHR. So do me a favor, if you like this kind of content, give me a big thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Hell, share it with your enemies too. All right, I'll catch you all in the next video, and I hope everybody stays safe and well.